or for both?
Eric?
No.
Because I, you know, that's, pardon? Right, would you like to come to up it down? That's what I do too, but I just, that's what I think too, but I just don't want to give out false information.
So understand, the application fee payable to the city is not, you're not going to pay that. What you're going to do is contract with the dredging contractor for the quantity removed from your slip. So if it's 3 condos or 2 condos, the cost is going to be based on the amount of material to be removed from however many slips you're having dredged.
So the $200 doesn't pertain to?
No.
Okay.
No.
The $200 is by, the escrow fee is set up by block and lot, so it depends on how your condo is set up.
Sure.
So if you have individual block and lots, that's where the $200 gets assessed.
And they do, because each individual condo unit has a separate qualifier. So it would be a separate $200, but that's not something for you, that's for them.
Okay.
It's going to be based on how many slips you have, how much material is going to be removed. That's what your fee will be based on.
Okay. If we wanted to have a different contractor other than the contractor that you guys have listed here, but also use the same city facility, is that possible?
No,
No. Okay. Was it put out to bid for the private slips?
it was part of, excuse me, it was a line item on the bid form when we went out to bid for the public areas.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I will just add that that is going to be the same procedure next year. What we're trying to do is make sure that the contractors that are going to be doing the work are responsible, that are doing this, you know, city projects. And so that was part of all of the rationalization behind that. So any other questions on the, yes, sir.
When we're using the city's permit, that's when we get involved. I'm sorry.
That's good.
But one thing I want to remind everybody, the whole reason we're trying to do this is make this easier. But any time, anybody can go get a permit from the DEP. That's right. I do that all the time. So that's a reminder too. So at any time, you can go to the DEP and do all these kind of things on yourselves. So, but when we're dealing with the city, I want to just try to make that as clear as possible. Is when you're using our permits, then we have to do it a certain way. But just so, and am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely,
Okay, because I just don't want to think that you can only do your stuff on our way. But if you want to use our facilities and all that kind of stuff, then these are the things we have to do to keep it legal and us out of court.
Right.
How's that?
Right,
Okay.
that's good. I mean, yeah, and just to say that one more time, you can go out and get yourself a dredge contractor. He can come and dredge your slip, but he cannot take it to the city CDF facilities. He would have to take it to a different facility that it's been approved by DEP. So you've got that option. The city is just trying to make life easier for everybody going through this process. Yes, sir.
Steve Jennis, 5052 West 16th Street. In trying to rough out a calculation of how many cubic yards needs to be removed, you know, I can do the surface calculations, but how deep do they dredge to come up with a cubic yard?
Will.
So the reason we brought the maps in the back when you walked in is because that's 2017 bathymetry. So that'll show you what the depth is currently. The city's dredge areas will be dredged to -4 feet at low tide. So take that and take the two numbers, subtract, and you'll get a depth from that number. And those are on the city's website.
And how far back to the bulkhead do they go?
Within 5 feet.
5 feet.
Yeah, 5 foot from the bulkhead.
Andrea Bell, I own 2022 Glenwood Drive. It's not on one of the charts out there, but a tube has been put in front of our docks. I assume it's dredging, is that correct?
That's correct. That's a dredge line going to the CDF.
Well, with it there, the boat cannot be removed. It was going to be put in storage over the weekend. The boat can't get out.
Okay? Let's
And-
talk afterwards because the contractors are here
Okay, this
to...
is what I didn't know, but it is the dredging, and I think we should have received notice that a tube would be running in front of the docks. And also, why wasn't it placed on the far side of the bay, where in the past all dredging tubes have been on the far side of the bay, not right in front
Okay,
of the docks?
let's talk afterwards
Okay,
about that with the
thank
contractor.
I just would like to add that afterward, the contractors are going to be in the entryway and with the displays, so if there's any very specific questions like that, certainly we can get into that at that point.
Hi, my name is Gary Chimento, 39 West 17th Street. My question is, will the bathymetric measurements that have been made so far, will that allow the contractors to make reasonably accurate estimates of how much spoils are going to be pulled out and therefore what our cost is going to be? Or is it going to be simply whatever it is we pull out, then we're going to send you the bill after that for that?
We believe that those will be accurate.
Okay, so will that allow the contractors
Yeah.
to give us estimates before the actual work is done?
Correct, because on the permit on the permit application, it'll be length times width times depth, and you'll get a number. So before the work even begins, you'll have a number.
Okay, thanks a lot.
We live at Bay Shore Drive. I own East Coast Dredging Company. Is there a reason they didn't put Sunny Harbor as a hydraulic machine? Because they did it before hydraulically, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than bucketing. And I don't know what the reason they went to bucketing. Because you can put a booster pump, put it in your disposal area down there very easy at about, $10 a yard rather than 100.
It's a matter of balancing the contracts this year. To start, it's a matter to balance the contract this year, and we're not seeing a differential in price at this point. Especially because the prices are the same for the private residents. You're seeing the same $100 per cubic yard, whether it's done hydraulically or mechanically.
Okay, and just to add to that question, the State Office of Resource Management through DOT is doing Carnival, and that contract is separated out from the city contract, even though the city is running both of them. So it's really two different situations, and that's part of why it was separated out also. Does that make sense?
It's the same price for hydraulic as it is
To the private owners, yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm Matthew Vollmer from 22 West 16th Street, and my power boat is stern drive, so I still have enough water in my slip that the boat floats, but the engine is in the mud. So do you have to have the whole slip done, or can you just have half of it done or a third of it done?
You can work that out with the contractor. It's just going to be a volume that you decide on.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Pippett, 43 West 17th Street. Hey, thank you for getting this done, finally. I had a question regarding the escrow. Is that also part of the contractor's fee, or is that something that the individual owners will pay to the city?
The contractor's fee is $100 a cubic yard. In addition to that, there's a $3 per cubic yard escrow fee to be used for the inspections.
And that's what my question is, who pays that?
These are the fees paid by the slip owners, $100 per cubic yard to the contractor, $3 a cubic yard as an escrow fee for the inspection.
And if the escrow isn't used, what happens?
Gets returned to the property owner.
And what if they exceed the escrow?
We don't expect that because we're going to estimate it generously,
Okay,
knowing that we can return it from you, but it'd be difficult to collect it.
sure. And the other question I had was, there was some confusion, I guess in my mind at least, as to when, we now know that this is all going to happen relatively, this winter, it sounds like. But are the contractors going to leave the lagoons and come back, or are they going to stay in the lagoons until they've done any private slips that want to be finished, or how's that going to work?
I mean, honestly, we haven't had that discussion with the contractors yet, because we just found out this news, and because they just found out this news.
Okay.
And so we will be keeping you informed, but there, all this happened pretty fast.
Okay.
And we were pretty excited about it, but there's still a few little details that we can't answer.
That-
But we're hoping that this will be a continuous process. That's what I hope.
Okay, that would be something that would be helpful for us,
Yeah.
because, for instance, they're in our lagoon now, whether or not I take my boat out or whatever. So timing-wise, it'd be nice to know, when they're going to do it, because initially the communication seemed to imply that they were going to leave the lagoons and then come back to do the private slips. So if it's going to be something different than that, that information would be helpful to the owners to know.
And the contractors will be contacting all of you that, I am sure, they will be seeing each and every one of you that they can possibly touch base with. So you will be able to ask all those same questions.
Okay.
And I was going to just say, I'd like to ask them to like stand up and solemnly swear that they can attest to. But would you guys like to comment on this? Because I think it's a good
Yeah, I mean,
question.
they're here, so I think people would like to hear.
So this is Joe Stewart from Trident.
Good evening. My first objective is to cover my portion of the public city work, to do the fairways into the lagoon. Once I've completed that portion of the contract for the city, then I'll fall back and do the private dredging. I'm not sure what, excuse me, mobiles.
You don't plan on demobilizing them?
No, we'll be there to do the, let's say, the public portion of the contract first. Once we complete that near the end of, let's say, November,